God designed your body for fertility, but when the journey to parenthood feels like a heartbreaking mystery, it's so easy to feel lost. What if you could do more than just wait and wonder? What if you could take faith-filled, science-backed steps to restore your fertility and prepare for the baby you're praying for? I'm Dr. Trisha, a nurse practitioner and fertility consultant who's been where you are. I know the struggle between faith and frustration. That's why I created Fertility by Design, where faith meets science to empower you with real solutions, holistic healing, and biblical encouragement. Through expert insights and powerful success stories, you'll learn how to nourish your body, renew your mind, and trust God's perfect timing without feeling helpless in the process. You are not alone. Your fertility is not broken. So let's walk this journey together. When everything feels out of control, what is your first instinct? Mine was to grab tighter, research more, and try to force my way into a healthy pregnancy. But I learned the hard way that control doesn't always bring clarity. So where we left off last time was I had just experienced our first pregnancy loss, and it had felt just so alone. Shortly thereafter, we actually did get pregnant again. And this time we experienced a normal, healthy pregnancy that resulted in a healthy baby boy giving birth in a Japanese birthing shack, as I like to say. Anybody who has been stationed in Iwakuni, Japan and delivered with Dr. Shoji knows. And there's probably plenty of you out there because the man was 84 years old. No joke. That's a story for another day. Okay. But we had experienced a healthy pregnancy. Our son was born. He was amazing. He was growing just fine, and he got to be about 1 year old, and we started to think about having another child. So we began trying again, thinking miscarriage was a one and done thing. Most women only experience it maybe once, and I did not think that I would have to go through it again. I checked that box. That's already done. But unfortunately for us, it was not. We tried again, got pregnant. We had went on an international flight back to Pennsylvania from Japan to Pennsylvania to visit my family. And I just felt so doggone tired. I was like, something's up. I'm just going to check pregnancy test just to be safe. And it was positive. I had just come off of breastfeeding my son and hadn't really had a cycle yet. That was why I wasn't really sure exactly what was going on. So found out I was pregnant, very excited, told my husband. We were excited. We didn't really tell anybody that we were around yet just because it was so early, but he had to go back to Japan without me. And I was staying behind for a little bit just because he was going to be going on a short deployment. He was a pilot and on the boat, off the boat, on the boat, off the boat. So he left, and shortly thereafter, I started experiencing a miscarriage again. That experience I will never forget because I had no provider in where we were. I had to go to the emergency room because I am a negative blood type and my husband is a positive blood type. So I need the RhoGAM injection when I'm having a loss. My parents, I had to tell them what was going on. And I was met with, well, do you really think you should have had another baby so soon anyway? I'm not making that up. That's what was said to me. And I felt a whole different level of alone this time around. Whereas previously people were, around me, I felt like the person that I needed most was gone. I couldn't really tell him. I actually had to send him an email to let him know that it was happening. And it was just a totally different experience. I went to the provider, got things taken care of and confirmed, passed that pregnancy on my own, ended up going back to Japan, and I just didn't really know where to go from there. My husband came home from his short deployment. We tried again, got pregnant again, and he left again, and then again experienced another miscarriage. Something very interesting about all of these losses that I had so far is every time I had seen a rainbow. And if you know from the Bible, the rainbow is a promise. from God. And it was almost like the promise of a child, but it felt almost scary to see the rainbow at this point. I knew every other time I had seen it, I had had a loss. And I was like, Lord, what are you trying to tell me? And we call babies after a miscarriage, rainbow babies. And it just all felt connected to me. And so there was like this little glimmer of hope that it was going to all be okay. But really in that moment after the second back-to-back loss, there was just so much pain, so much isolation, so many people around me getting pregnant and staying pregnant at the same time as me. And it felt unfair. It felt like there was even moments where I almost wanted someone to experience it with me. And that's so hard for me to say because it's a horrible thought. But I'm being completely honest with you that I thought it because maybe you've been there too. And then you feel the guilt and shame because that's just your human flesh. It's not how you truly feel. It's just a craving to not be alone and to not have to walk through something completely alone the way that I had, or maybe the way that you have been. And not only was I going through all of that, but I also went to our provider on base, who then told me, 1, I shouldn't have tried again so soon. 2, that I needed to have more losses before they would do any sort of medical workup. This took a huge toll on my emotions, on my marriage, because I'm having to email my husband twice now that I've had a loss. And at this point, I'm literally just no feelings, typing out these emails. And I can't even imagine. And actually, I want to bring him on because I can't imagine what it felt like to be him and to be on this boat where he cannot communicate with me and to receive a message or an email saying, like, we lost our baby, And I admittedly and selfishly wasn't even thinking about how he felt. I was so consumed with how I felt, how long I felt I had to be the one going through it, that I didn't think about how he was processing it. I didn't think about how the Lord was going to work through this. I just was in a very kind of dark place. And it became this little bit of this deep spiritual struggle for me too, where I felt like maybe I hadn't earned to have another baby. I thought about maybe that this was punishment from God for past mistakes. Another story for another day. I have been married twice before my husband, no kids, but there was so much shame and guilt and hurt and abuse in those relationships. And I didn't handle everything great there either. So there was so much like, am I being punished for this? There were so many things that I considered. Was I not worthy of another child? I wanted to completely give up. And it was really a low moment for me. I continued to seek out control in every place, but with surrendering to the Lord, I was trying to take all matters into my own hands. I went down way too many Google rabbit holes. I felt very prepared to be able to read through the research, but when you're going through it yourself, you're not looking at it from a clinical eye. You're looking at it from a personal, painful experience standpoint. And it really was not the best thing for me in that moment. I did learn a ton, and it was such a blessing the way that the Lord used some of that pain and those Google rabbit holes and the information to really lead me to be able to now help support the clients that I support. But at the same time, I wasn't trusting in him at all. I was so exhausted from chasing control. But when I finally surrendered, I was met with something even more powerful than I could have ever imagined. And it completely changed my approach to fertility. Join us next week as we go even deeper into this journey and this story and how healing can come out of just about anything. If you are wanting more content like this, you want more trying to conceive information, please get on our email list. We would love to see you every Tuesday for TTC Tuesday. That's it for today's episode of Fertility by Design. I pray that you're walking away feeling encouraged, equipped, and reminded that while the wait may be hard, you are not alone. God is with you, and you have the power to take faith-filled step toward the family you've been praying for. If this episode has blessed you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe so you never miss an episode, leave a review to help more couples find hope, and share this with a friend who needs encouragement on their fertility journey. Need even more support? Let's connect. Find me on Instagram at Trisha Zehrung for faith-filled fertility guidance, real solutions, and a community that just understands. Remember, your fertility is not broken. Your body is beautifully and wonderfully designed, and God's plan is always perfect. Keep believing, keep learning, keep praying, and keep taking action. I'll see you next time.